Just wanted to share the screen for displaying the first question. I am sure you all have the first question with you. It is shared in the group mains enrichment program. It's basically about the gig economy. So can someone type the question in the chat box? Please type the question in the chat box. So basically the question is like this. Examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. Examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. I'll repeat the question again. Examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. So yes, take a couple of minutes of time. For people who have attempted the answer, you can pen down your points in the chat box, highlight points. And for people who want to attempt it now, just take 2 minutes before we discuss the model answer. Suman, as on when you get your network, please make me host. Examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. Can someone type this in the chat box for the benefit of everyone? Okay. Cool. Okay. Rajni, one request for you today from my side is the model answer I am going to communicate. Either you note down or type, and please share it in the chat box so that everyone can see that. For each answer, I'll request one of you to take over. So for 5 questions, I require help from 5 people. Okay. So for the first question, it is Rajni who is going to share the model answer as discussed by me. Okay. Right. Okay. Please see the chat box and kindly give your points. Right. Yeah. Basically, gig economy is part-time employment or something like that. So what do you mean by gig economy? Firstly, when you look at the question, examine the role of gig economy in the process of empowerment of women in India. I keep repeating this again and again. Before starting to write your answer, read the question at least 3 or 4 times. So when you read this question, the striking word of this question is obviously gig economy. Then empowerment of women in India. So simply you have to relate gig economy with empowerment of women in India. That is the question. Firstly, the introduction should start with explaining what is gig economy. Don't assume that the examiner knows what is gig economy and start writing about gig economy. No. Since these are the terms which are very of late invented jargons, gig economy and other jargons are very recent jargons. Don't expect a JNU professor to know about gig economy, and you don't go into that level and start your answer at that plane. Start from the bottom. Explain gig economy. Basically, gig economy refers to free market, short-term jobs with temporary positions. Free market, short-term jobs with temporary positions. That is the gig economy. Now that you have defined gig economy, you say gig economy can have its own impact in empowerment of women in India. And then the side heading comes empowerment of women in India through gig economy. So now that you know what is gig economy, how do you think it will empower women? Basically, gig economy will provide part-time jobs and flexible jobs to women. It provides part-time jobs and flexible jobs to women. And gig economy provides flexible working hours to women. It provides flexible working hours to women. And gig economy provides jobs which can be work from home, which can benefit women who may not be able to commute because of household responsibilities. 3 points. Then it can provide a makeshift employment or temporary employment to women who are skilled but cannot be employed or not employed because of various reasons. Now here you may be thinking that yes, you have addressed the demand of the question. But as I said, as an aspiring civil servant, you should look informed. While you have definitely made points which speak about empowerment of women, you should also speak about the constraints of the gig economy. What are the constraints of the gig economy? Basically, gig economy operates on demand and supply. That whenever demand is there, people are employed. Demand is not there, people are simply removed. So it operates on various cycles of job creation. It is a cyclic employment. So no job is permanent. And basically, employees who are under the gig economy are not provided with certain employment benefits like statutory benefits of provident fund, gratuity, etc. are not provided to gig economy, like insurance, employee death insurance are not provided to people under gig economy. So that is one more drawback. And then it is observed that people in gig economy or the temporary jobs are underpaid when compared to people in permanent jobs. The contract jobs are generally underpaid when compared to full-time jobs. Also, people in gig economy are not sure about the growth. If I am permanently employed in a certain organization, I am dreaming about becoming the CEO of the organization. But when I am not sure tomorrow I will stay in the organization or not, what is the guarantee or job guarantee I have? What is the aspiration I have towards my job? So these are the constraints of gig economy. So you have discussed about the ways to empower and the constraints, and the conclusion should be like this. You can say gig economy is definitely a very good start towards women employment. It can be helpful in upskilling and reskilling the women. But the way forward for long term is creation of permanent jobs with decent security and pay for women, so that the economy as a whole can benefit. Again, you can bring in the yesterday's example of Christian Lagarde, the chief of IMF, who said when the women workforce equals the man workforce, the GDP of the world grows by 35%. On that note, you can simply conclude the answer. Sumant, there is a message in the window that many students are waiting in the room. Please accept or make someone co-host. Okay. Kindly make me co-host. Okay. Any doubts with regard to the question on gig economy? So everyone agrees with the model answer, or is there something to be added? As of now, there are no direct schemes for gig economy, Raghu. Are you aware of any such schemes? Basically, we can say the SHGs or NGOs can play a part in gig economy and promote employment. Okay, Amr 2.0, yes, it is partially related to gig economy. Maybe you can say about SHGs, the self-help groups. Okay, you can mention the examples of SHGs, NGOs employment. In fact, the Manrega scheme itself is a kind of gig economy. Agree? Manrega cycle, Manrega employment, especially with regard to the agricultural labor who are during the non-agricultural times coming and working for Manrega projects or Manrega jobs, it is an example of gig economy. Right? So anything else for the first question? Is the approach clear? Praise positive and give way forward for negatives. Is it so? See, the conclusion, Lavanya, the conclusion should be futuristic oriented. Okay. It's not that you should give a way forward for negatives or praise positives. I'm not saying that. When you are addressing certain constraints, for those constraints, what is the way forward? Those constraints may not be negative. Here, the constraints of gig economy are known to everyone. It started in USA, but spread over the world, because all the companies are now going towards gig economy to cut down their overheads. So employment creation is going through gig economy only. But what we are saying is, let gig economy be a starting point. From there, the moment women are decently skilled, they can elevate themselves. We are not saying don't employ women through gig economy. The women employment is an issue here. So gig economy definitely plays its role. But what after gig economy is something expected from you. Clear? Right. So see the second question. Sumant, your internet is still weak. Unable to make me host. Okay, Rajni, did you note down the answer? Please type it and post it for benefit of everyone. Okay. For second question, I request Navya. Okay. Please post it. Right. What is the second question? Please type it in the chat box, Navya. Women's movement in India has not addressed the issues of women of lower strata. Substantiate your view. Good. Why I have nominated Navya for this answer is she has written a good answer for this question. I've seen her answer script. I would have shared it. Sumant, we are missing you. Thank you. Now I am the host. Yeah, Renuka, please.
So, women movement అనేది అంటే like give me a minute. Women of lower social strata వాళ్ళ ప్రాబ్లమ్స్ అనేది తెలపడం కోసం అంటే లైక్ మనకి వాళ్ళ శానిటేషన్ ఎక్సెట్రా కూడా ఎగ్జాంపుల్ గా రాయొచ్చు కదా.
Sorry.
అంటే most of them work for construction fields or any other areas. అట్లాంటప్పుడు వాళ్ళకి హెల్త్ శానిటేషన్ అనేది ప్రాపర్ ఉండదు కదా. దట్ మే ఏమంటారు ఎఫెక్ట్ ఇన్ ద ఫ్యూచర్ కదా. We can
definitely whatever the problems the lower strata of the women are facing, be it regard to their education, be it regard to their employment or their discrimination, you can mention all of them. And the question is not only about the issues. The question is not only about the issues. The question is saying that women movement in India has not addressed the issues of, that means they are saying there is a basic issue with the women's movement in India itself. Okay.
Okay.
So in this context, see the answer written by this Navya. So only feedback. Of course, I'll explain the answer. Before that, Navya, you have made a lot of points. Okay. Most of the points, around 80 to 90% points you have made are really relevant. But my feedback for you is, please make presentation in a very lucid and a very neat way so that the answer looks in a flow. Your answer is having content, but as an examiner, I should go and pick up the content. I am Nishant sir. I am having a lot of time for you guys. I'll be more than happy to go through your answer and pick up points. But the person who is evaluating 10,000 scripts, he is least bothered to go and do research and development on your paper. I hope I'm making sense. So the onus is on you to ensure that your answer looks in a flow, looks relevant, and looks loaded with proper content, right? So with regard to the question, women's movement in India has not addressed the issues of women of lower strata substantiate. Here, brief introduction about women's movement in India. When did women's movement in India start? Right from 1820s. Right from 1820s. The pioneer of champion of women's rights was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. What did he fight for? He fought for abolition of sati system. From there, you can say in the introduction, the women's rights have come a long way, including people like Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar. And even during the national freedom movement, there are a lot of movements for women movement. And however, many times in these movements, women of lower strata were left out. On that note, come down and explain the issues faced by women of lower strata. What are the issues? You can see here. Here she has nicely divided social and economic issues. Instead of writing a general, simple side heading as issues and mentioning all at once, she has tried to present social issues and economic issues separately. Under social issues, education, nutrition, food, domestic violence and sexual exploitation, child marriages, female feticide, all these are social issues being faced by women of lower strata. Economic issues include not having access to the land resources. Women cannot do cultivation many a time because they do not have access to the land. Okay, and most of the times lower strata women suffer from poverty. They suffer from poverty. So these are the economic issues. And women of lower strata more often than not are employed as maids in houses or manual scavengers. So basically they are doing inhumane or menial jobs. Okay, and then the political issues, there is lack of representation of women as a whole, and when it comes to women of lower strata, hardly any representation at grassroots level also. So what we can say is the women movements which happened in India could not directly impact women of lower strata because they were basically driven by women of urban class or from middle and upper middle classes. They were driven by women of urban classes or upper middle classes, and in that context, the women of lower classes or strata could not participate and have their say in those movements. And in your way forward, you can write that people like Savitribai Phule have actually tried to empower women of lower strata. The need of the hour is to make women movements more inclusive by bringing on board women of lower strata. The NGOs should reach out to women of lower strata. It is the need of the hour to empower the self-help groups which actually resolve and address the issue of lower strata women. And government policies should be made so that the women of lower strata are also equally benefited from these policies? On that note, you can conclude. Yeah, Rajni.
Sir, in this particular question, can we give the example, like the positive example of Odisha, where they have utilized the 33% reservation for local bodies, and
And
they
also for
have,
police recruitment, Bihar.
yeah,
Yes,
no,
definitely.
also this political representations in Odisha.
So
Uh,
what you can say is, see, the 33% women reservation at grassroots level is there in many states, okay, including Telangana. You can say that that kind of empowerment should be there, and these should be reserved seats. Okay, the 33% within that seats also, some seats are reserved seats. So in that seats, when women come and contest and win, they should have that say. And you can mention those examples.
okay, sir.
Fine. Is this clear? The second question. Navya, as you have noted down the answer discussed by us, please type it and post it for everyone's benefit. Okay. So I have received one more answer from Lavanya today, and hence for the third question, I request Lavanya to take over. Are you there, Lavanya? Okay. Are you fine with noting down my answer for the third question? Fine. So, see the third question, everyone. So in the class also, I am a kind of empowering woman only today. Okay. So for the third question, just look at the third question. The women's question arose in modern India as a part of 19th century social reform. What were the major issues and debates concerning women in that period? A kind of question of history, but related to women. Read the question 2 times. Yeah. The women's question arose in modern India as part of 19th century social reform movement. What were the major issues and debates concerning women in that period? Basically, what is the question about? Someone can break it up for me. Is it talking about reforms of 19th century, or what exactly is the question about? The beauty with the lengthy questions is more often than not, they are simple. What is this question about?
The issues of women in 19th century.
Issues and debates of women in 19th century. As simple as that. For that, he has given a beautiful beginning. Okay. So don't get carried away with such questions in an emotional way and start writing right from women's issues. Who are the reformists? Who are the women? No. They are simply asking what were the issues of women in 19th century and what were the debates. So basically you can start that the 19th century was a very conservative society, and with regard to the rights of women, there was no proper rights, and certain evil practices were prevalent in the society, and on the whole the society was conservative. That will be your introduction. And next you'll put a side heading, issues and debates concerning women in 19th century. So what were the issues which were concerning women? The first and foremost issue we immediately remember is the sati issue. And you can just give the column, you can give the side heading, issue of sati. The sati issue was that when a woman's husband died, she was also made to go with the dead body, and she was also burnt alive. A very inhumane practice and an evil practice. So you can say Raja Ram Mohan Roy, a visionary of that time, fought for abolition of sati and ensured that in 1828 abolition of Sati Act was passed. The first issue. Second issue is no access to education. Though the Indians got access to modern education in 1813 Charter India Act, women were not having access to modern education. They did not have equality on par with the men. And in this situation, people like Jyotiba Phule, Keshav Chandra Sen, Savitribai Phule have opened the doors for education of women by setting up schools. This helped women to get educated. Second issue. Third issue is widow remarriages. Widows, when they lost husbands, were confined to houses. They were not allowed to talk to anyone, and they were in permanent isolation. People like Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar came forward and empowered the women, especially the widows, to get remarried. You can mention the example of Kandukuri Veereshalingam also. These are the three prominent debates. What are the other debates? The lower caste women were empowered by again people like Savitribai Phule to come out of their regular household chores. The religious scriptures, which were till then not allowed for any women, were now opened for women to understand the actual essence of religion. So these were the issues and debates of women in that period. And you can conclude by saying the women's issues and debates which arose in the 19th century have actually empowered the women and made them come into better positions, who went on to play a very prominent and significant role in Indian national movement and later in Indian national building. Yeah, Vasai. Child marriages are one. Child marriage is also very important concept. Yeah, child marriage, Devadasi system. You can include any number of debates and discussions. And the conclusion should be a very futuristic conclusion that women who have actually been empowered in the 19th century went on to play a major role in Indian national movement, and also went on to play a major role in building India, the nation. That shows the flow, you know. You are not only talking about the 19th century issue, but you are relating the 19th century to 20th and the 21st century, 20th century. It shows that you understand that the women who are empowered in this particular phase have gone on to play a major role thanks to the social reform movement of 19th century. Is it clear? You just try to understand how I am trying to make answers. I am not bringing out content which is something which is flashy or which is completely unknown to you. Of course, I am making some points which you may not know, but I am trying to organize the points in a certain way which, when read in a flow, makes sense and make a very relevant answer for that demand of the question. Clear? Yes, please. Or anything else to be added for this question? Is the third question clear to everyone? Fine. Soumya, are you available? You have written an answer yesterday, right? So you will be handling the fourth answer discussed by me. Is it okay for you? Okay. So just see the fourth question. A very straightforward and a simple question, I would say. All those present in this class, even in your sleep, you will write this answer. Discuss the positive and negative effects of globalization on women in India. Even in your sleep, if you are a serious UPSC aspirant, this question doesn't even require any understanding or any analysis. Simply two side headings and then conclusion. The introduction will be on globalization, positive effects of globalization on women, negative effects of globalization on women, conclusion. That's all. If you can make good points with good examples, but as I said yesterday, in such questions where you are sure that everyone will write a good answer, if you want to write a better answer, substantiate with better examples and better facts. That will place you in that extra half mark domain. Simply if you make generic points, okay, 4 out of 10, done. If you want to get 5 out of 10 in such questions, you should have that quality and content. So bring facts, bring figures, bring certain data for these kind of questions. For difficult questions, if you understand the demand of the question and write a proper answer, you'll be appreciated. For easy questions, when you do this, when you give data and other examples, they'll be really happy to see that your answer is slightly different from others. Okay? Yeah. On that note, what do you mean by globalization? Anyone? What do you mean by globalization? Just your introduction should say, yeah.
Sir, before going to the next question, I just have a doubt. Like, what is the benchmark for saying yes, this is an easy question, or no, this is a difficult question?
See, easy question or difficult question, benchmark is that how fast you are able to write the question and how fast you are able to understand the question, and how basically you look at third question and fourth question. Sumant, you look at third and fourth question, where you have to apply your mind more.
Yes, sir.
You tell me, where you have to apply your mind more, third or fourth?
It's third question, sir.
Okay, so do you agree that when compared to third question, fourth is slightly easier?
Yes, sir.
So basically what I am trying to say is, for a serious aspirant, okay, if someone is going unprepared to mains exam, everything is Greek and Latin. Even a basic question can look tough. For a serious aspirant, fourth question is relatively easier, right? He will take less time, he or she will take less time to answer the fourth when compared to third question. Because third question, you have to think about the 19th century. Okay, Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, Jyotibai Phule, Savitribai Phule. Then what about the caste system? So it involves a lot of recollection.
Yes, sir.
This is a current affairs. Fourth is a current affairs based question. Yes.
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Globalization is a very recent concept, and so are the positives and negatives. So when I mean by easy question, I don't mean to say that it is a sitter or it can be handled left hand, but I am assuming that all my students are serious aspirants, and for them, this question should be easily handled. Okay. So on that note, what is globalization? Anyone? What is globalization? Yes, globalization is basically the process of interaction and integration of people across the world. It is basically the process of interaction and integration of people across the world. It is bringing all of them, all the world, onto a common platform, on a common stage. That process or that phenomena is called as globalization. And say globalization had impact on various sections of society, including women. On that note, that will be your introduction. So you're saying this is globalization. Globalization had impact on so many sections of the society. Women are among them. Then it's bringing a logical flow to your answer. It's bringing a logical flow to your answer. And from there, next you are putting a side heading, positive effects of globalization on women. What would be the positive effects of globalization of women? Women have got more jobs because of the exposure to the global canvas. Because of exposure to the global canvas. The gender stereotyping that this can be done by women, this cannot be done by women, has been challenged by the globalization. Today, then you give an example. We have the first fighter woman pilot in India, because women also believed they can do so many things thanks to globalization. And the rights of women have increased. Women are now able to balance various roles across the lives. In the morning, she is a mother. In the afternoon, she is an employee of corporate company. in the evening she is a daughter-in-law to their in-laws, and she is a wife to her husband. So she is playing multiple roles very easily, and that ease of playing multiple roles is because of the globalization. Because of globalization, the women are now ready to take up the challenges of families. There are many women-led families. It's no more a stereotype that the husband should work while women should stay at home. No, there are many caretaking fathers these days. The exposure to education has increased among women. You can here give an example of Geeta Gopinathan, who went on to become a chief of IMF by getting educated in one of the best universities like Harvard. She was educated at Harvard, which gave her a global platform to exhibit her skills, and then she went on to become IMF chief. And many women like Indra Nui, Arundhati Bhattacharya, and so on and so forth, became CEOs of some of the Fortune 500 companies. So these are the positives because of the globalization. What are the negatives? What are the negatives because of globalization? Yeah. What are the negatives because of the globalization? The women are now exposed to the global economic culture like gig economic jobs. So gig economic jobs, though it is a positive thing, it is having a negative impact because women are the prime targets. The women sometimes who are unable to balance these roles are facing severe stress and burden, and it's creating mental fatigue amongst women. And women trafficking has increased because of globalization. In many companies, women are being sexually exploited. Sexual harassment at workplaces by their superiors has grown in many companies. And because of more advancement of the technology, women are becoming victims of cyber violence. So these are the negative effects of globalization. But what you can conclude that globalization on a whole has been an enabler for women empowerment and could address the gender gaps. And the way forward is to mitigate the negative effects of globalization so that the true dividends of the globalizations are reaped by the women. That's all. Everyone clear with the fourth question?
Sir, can we add a point like women are being underpaid, and the reflection of patriarchal mindset is seen in the corporate world also, which is manifesting in the form of glass ceilings,
Yeah,
etc.
you can add that point. That can be a negative effect, but that point I have reserved for the fifth question. So, but since that is also a point, you can definitely write, not an issue. Yes, Rajani?
Sir, in the positive, can we also talk about because of globalization, a few positive concepts are known to India, like paternity leave, in addition to the maternity leave, with example of the recent Virat Kohli.
Definitely, yes. Loss of moral values, Navya, that is a very sensitive terminology. What is moral, what is immoral is a very subjective issue. So don't touch upon those points. Okay. Anything else? See, don't make some extreme statements like, which are looking sometimes, very conservative. Due to globalization, women are wearing small dresses. So women wearing small dresses is not an issue at all. Okay. So that shows a very patriarchal and a conservative mindset. Don't ever make such points. Okay. I have seen some answers like, not here when this question was there and when we were doing it sometime back. So some people are writing that because of women, because of globalization, women dressing changed. So what? So the entire point about women dressing is like, women can dress as they want. We are not here to dictate. So don't write such kind of conservative and, very points which are make you looking like this person is a, male chauvinist. Don't write like that. Similarly for women, for women who are writing the answers, don't get emotional about this. It's an exam, be practical. Don't get emotional. Like, yes, I'll write this bloody males have dominated. No, don't go that extreme. Okay, so be very balanced in your approach with regard to the answers. Okay, the exam is not only test of your knowledge, the exam is a test of your mindset, the test of your stability. When you sit as a district collector, someone is coming and garrowing you, pelting stones at your office. So you should have immense balance to handle those kind of situations. You cannot say that, okay, just shoot that fellow. No. You should have immense patience. You are a public servant. So that is also tested. Not only in ethics paper. Don't think ethics paper in case studies only I have to be IAS collector. In all other answers, I can be a normal, normal way I can handle those questions. No. My tip for everyone is when you sit for the exam, right from your essay paper, behave and dream like an IAS officer and write the answer. Then only the maturity will flow into your answers. Right from essay, GS-1, 2, 3, 4 optional, including your ethics paper. Don't try to be an IAS officer only in the case studies. You have to be an IAS officer throughout the preparation and throughout the examination. Right? Fine. The last question of the day. How does patriarchy impact the position of middle class working women in India? Again, I would say a fairly moderate to easy question. And I request Vasavi, who has submitted an answer yesterday. So basically, I am giving preference to people who have submitted answers to me to take up the model answer. And then since the topic is about women empowerment, so let's empower all the women in our class today. Okay, fine, ma. Okay, just start the answer. How does patriarchy impact the position of middle class working women in India? Patriarchy impacts the position of middle class women in India. So you can introduce this question. You can start the answer by introduction by giving a brief definition of patriarchy. What do you mean by patriarchy? Yes, what do you mean by patriarchy? Anyone? What do you mean by patriarchy?
Society where men take the decisions.
Society where men take the decisions and men think they are superior to women in almost all the aspects. Such feeling is called patriarchy. And then you can introduce patriarchy and say the patriarchy had impacted women in India, especially with regard to middle class women. Straight away come to the side heading, position of middle class women in India with respect to patriarchy. So middle class women and patriarchy, the question is saying, please link these two terminologies, patriarchy and position of women in India. So what is the main issue with patriarchy on the women? It is basically giving social pressure that women should not work, women should sit at home, they are confined to household chores, they are confined to bringing up of children. So that is a patriarchal mindset which is generally faced by middle class women. So the first thing is social pressures. Second thing is no family support for taking up new jobs or new risk. If they want to go to job, why do you want to work? Your husband is earning good salary. Her mindset for working is not because to get the salary. It is because she likes to work. But then work is related to salary, and then she is demotivated from working. So no family support. Middle class women, in one of the surveys, it is said most of the women drop out from the jobs post their maternity because they are forced to take care of the newborns or the children. They drop out. So women dropping out of careers post maternity, especially middle class women. No say in the economic decision making of the family. Okay, this month we have 50,000 income. How to spend that? Okay, we'll spend here, spend there, spend there. The head of the family, father has made decisions and gone. This woman may want to invest something on her child, but no one bothers. So no preference in the economic decision making. Finally, unpaid domestic activity in the house. Do cooking. Okay, today maid has not come. Do sweeping, mopping. So unpaid domestic work. All these are impact of patriarchy on the middle class woman. The glass ceiling effect, where the males dominate women, is very much seen, especially in the middle classes. For this, because this question is indirectly asking you about the gender inequality. If you see, they are relating patriarchy and women. So they are saying that gender inequality, the question is about gender inequality. So I thought I would conclude like this. Achieving gender equality in true sense is one of the sustainable development goals India has committed to UNDP program. Hence, the need of the hour is to empower women so that the gender inequality is addressed, the patriarchy in the society as a whole reduces, and women as the torch bearers of the development of the country take the lead and take it forward. So that is about the fifth answer. So people who have noted down the answers, either you post it in the group for everyone's benefit. We'll make this a practice going forward, because you definitely have your answers. My answers will be like model answers. And of course, my answers are not supreme. There can be a value addition from your side to my answers. Okay. So it is all a continuous process. Okay. Only when we all together do this process in and out, day in and day out, we evolve. And when we all go to that final examination time, when new people go to that final examination time, you will be having everything in the mind, and the answer will automatically flow whenever you see such questions. Clear? Anything else to be discussed? Yeah. Middle class women not participating in politics because of patriarchy can also be added. So are the 5 questions for today clear? Okay. So let's again meet on Monday. So good that, see, in no time we have finished 15 previous year questions. So I am myself surprised that we have covered the society almost 70%. So it's a very good program, I would say, designed by the program director Ramana sir. So 15 previous year questions and 15 different zones or aspects we have covered of the syllabus in just 3 days. So definitely an enrichment program. I request again everyone to be participating regularly, keep writing. For people who are not writing, just start writing from even today, you will still do wonders. And as Rajani posted in the group, you also post in the group, and everyone is welcome to give suggestions. Don't have any egos. And she has been humble. She has written in the group that I am ready for peer review. So peers who are there, like Sumant, Jitender, Sriram, Prasanna, okay. So you guys, you can review our answer, give feedback, and in this process, you will also get enrichment. And when others post, Rajni or others like, Soumya, Lavanya, Navya, who are frequently writing, they can get involved. You guys can, you people can review Rajni's answer. Rajni will review your answers. What happens is the group will be lively and active. It's not that Ramana sir, Vijay or myself coming and posting in that group. It's look like only one way communication. The group is created for you people to be empowered. So it's creating a group and adding people up to there. My responsibility or Ramana sir responsibility is over. To take it forward is your responsibility. How you will use that group is in your hands. So many bright minds have come to that group. So you have been brought to a wonderful platform. From there, how you will take off is in your hands. Be active in the group. Do the peer reviews. You say, okay, Rajni, you have made XYZ points. You could add this point also. Then Rajni will say, yes, what about this point? I have seen many groups which are active like that. And in that process, people are benefiting. Education is something, or knowledge is something which when you share, you actually double it. Don't be insecure, or I am sharing my knowledge. I am not feeling insecure. I know for sure that if I am talking with you guys, I am learning something. I don't claim that I know everything, but whatever something I know, I'm sharing with you. But in every class, I am taking away that something plus delta X, which I learned from you guys. Some points you are telling me, and I am happy that, okay, this angle I have not thought. These guys are thinking like that. So that is some enrichment for me as also. Only when we interact on a social platform, we expand our knowledge base. So that is only my suggestion. Okay, ultimately you guys are the final people who can decide how do you want to use a particular platform. So fine, let's meet on Monday. Have a happy weekend, and do keep your efforts going in, and then keep studying. And for the previous recordings, Indu, I think you can contact Mr. Vijay, or you can contact Ramana sir for the recordings. They are the correct point of contacts. Okay. On that note, let's take leave, and good night, everyone.